on a Monday, and Anti-Tracker is shaving baby Groots. Sassy's jumping on the bed with a woo, and Stromore is typing away in the chat. It's 8 o'clock on a Saturday, and you
how are we going to be able to get it in the hole? That's the question. That is the million-dollar question. It's not as easy to get in the hole as you think. Come on. Come on. Get. Ah, shit. Well. It was a valiant attempt. But yeah, I think we're going to need something a little more specialized. Although, we could try to back it in. Come on. Come on. So close. Yes. Oh God, so close. Come on, just go in. Oh yes, the tip is in. That counts. That totally counts. Okay. That's it. Okay, come on. No. We're right there. Right there. Oh, we're so close. We're so close. Yes! Hallelujah! Fuck yeah. I love having sex with she-males.
Hello world, it's me, BirdoPray5, and I know you loved my hit song, Innocent Cough. And since the coronavirus has gone viral, here comes my new Innocent Cough remix. Ready? Please sing the song now. Yeah! Innocent Cough! Don't you try to quarantine me, feral sons of bitches! I don't know. Innocent Cough! Innocent Cough! I got innocent cough! You got innocent cough! Just saying, just stay. Don't try to quarantine me. Instead of don't tase me, don't quarantine me. I almost forgot to sing the second verse to the hardcore Innocent Cough song that is about surprise lovemaking time with Joseph. It's been time, ja, la, sha, ta, li, That's about surprise lovemaking with Joseph. Perhaps you got confused at the words because the lyrics of the second verse isn't in English. Not completely, anyway. Yeah!
We will return to your scheduled programming shortly, or we are currently experiencing technical difficulty.
Hey guys, Michael J. Crawford, the Anti-Trekker here. Good morning. Oddball time. This isn't going to be a particularly long live stream, but I do want to get one in because tomorrow I can't do a live stream tonight because tomorrow I have a doctor's appointment in the morning that I thought was canceled but wasn't canceled, and so yay, I get to get up early. Continuum started off with 2.29 euros. Thank you. Can't stay but had to go to work. Thank you, Continuum. And Yosef puts in a couple of euros. Thank you, my friend. And says, want to experience my surprise love in person. No, I'm pretty sure I don't, but Bird might. Bird might. Waiting for, there it is. Hello, world.
Want to experience my surprise love in person?
So there you go. Thank you, Yosef. As strange a statement as that is. So to the chat we go. By the way, thank you to all of you that have watched the Steve Shives video. I know it's a massively long video, but people seem to like it. I may do more long-form videos like that. Not about Steve Shives, of course. But I may actually get into a little bit on the political compass of Trek, because first of all, it's not, I know everybody thinks, oh, Star Trek has always been progressive. That's absolutely true, but Star Trek has not always been liberal, and something that people don't understand is that there is in fact a difference between the term progressive and liberal. The problem is that a certain segment, and by the way, I know that I have liberal subscribers here, and I hope, if you've seen the video, I hope you understand I am not disparaging liberals. I'm disparaging Steve Shives, but not liberals in general. And I hope that came across. I don't know how well I did, but I'll keep working on that, because I know that it's difficult to talk about these things without offending people. But the problem is that certain segments of the liberal population co-opted the term progressive back in the 1990s because liberal was a politically unpopular term. And so they redubbed themselves progressives. And therefore, people genuinely believe, Steve Shives is a perfect example of a person who genuinely believes that progressive means liberal. And so, but progressive is not politically left or right. So that's the problem there, is that we get our terminology mixed up because we've turned progressive into meaning something that it is not. For example, social progress would include things like equality among the sexes, equality among the races, equal rights in general. And I think that's progressive. That's not liberal. And in fact, it's kind of funny because you can make the argument that liberalism, in some ways, for the extreme liberals out there, they stand against those things. So that was my first really foray into Trek and politics. I'll probably do some more because I just got to get it off my chest as far as where Trek is politically. People think it's something that it really isn't. And Salzburg throws 20 bucks in. Thank you so much, my friend. Truly, I appreciate it.
I got it! Great kid! Don't get cocky. This is why I let you handle the commentary. Well done.
Thank you, my friend. And I was very nervous, though, all the way through making that video. I was like, oh, geez, am I going to get crucified for this one? But so far, the response has been very positive, and I thank you all. All right, let's get to the chat. Bradley was first, followed by Thomas and Dan23. Life with Matthew says, good morning. Just watching the Shives video. Very cool. Zachary says, hello. It's 15:47 in the UK. Yeah, but it's morning for me, and, I'm the only person that counts. You know that, Dan. Kidding. I'm kidding. Josh says, stop being a bird of prey, torturous with bad thing. And Sean throws £5 in. Thank you so much, Sean.
I got it! Great kid! Don't get cocky. Great vid on Steve Shives. I'm a local politician here in UK, and the rantings from some of our left defies belief. Some wanted Boris to die.
Well,
sweating face.
And that is horrible. You know, here's the thing. I know that, you know, with the whole thing with Boris in the UK, and I had no idea you were in politics, Sean. But the that is, you know, that's the thing, is that we get so worked up, and that's where that's why I think the irony, and I hope that it came across in that video, because I almost made the entire video just be about Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. And I'm probably going to do an entire hour-plus long video about that episode, because that episode, better than any other, illustrates my point. Steve is sitting there touting Let That Be Your Last Battlefield over and over and over without realizing that he is Beale. He absolutely is Beale. He is so consumed by his hatred of Loci that he doesn't realize that not everybody is Loci. And that's exactly what Beale was doing in that, you know, both of them. And it was beautifully done in this episode. Both Loci and Beale in that episode kept accusing everybody else of siding with the other person. That's what Steve is doing. And that's what, unfortunately, you know, so people get so worked up on their political ideology that they think that, yes, that person should die because we disagree with them on politics. Holy crap, that is stupid. That is ignorant. And that is just evil. And I don't care if you're a conservative or a liberal, it's wrong. Hate is wrong, and hate is what destroyed Loci and Beale, not conservative or liberal politics. Josh says, stop being bird of prey, torture us with the bad singing. Well, you know, that's kind of what I do. Great video it was. Thank you, Bradley. Dr. N says, great video from today. Thank you. Wow, you guys are just awesome. Quit stroking my ego. It's going to go to my head. I actually like the song, but it's the second one that makes my dogs go nuts. Yeah, I can understand that. Abajam is in the house, says, greetings, oh great turtle standing. May your subs be abundant and your printing flawless. Thank you, my friend. I actually am hopefully going to get a couple of masks finished today while I'm working. I set up so that, like, while I'm working on my work desk, I can actually, like, you know, glue parts together and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to get a few done today. Zachary says, yes, the Shies video is good, and that's Steve, and sad that Steve thinks that way. It truly is, because Steve is genuinely a nice guy. I mean, I showed that clip from 2015. I really enjoyed arguing with Steve on politics. Although the irony of it was that he demonstrated his, I'm trying to think of the right term, but ignorant thinking, really, even back then, because we were talking, the first time we talked, the focus of the discussion was the wage gap. And basically, Steve admitted wholeheartedly that the 77 cents an hour wage gap is a complete lie, and that really it's more like, you know, maybe 4, maybe 5 cents. But he doesn't care about the fact that it's a lie because it's still important, I guess. But no, it's not. If it's a lie, it really isn't, but he doesn't understand that. Josh says, oh no, annoying, it would be another Bird of Prey 5 singing countdown. No, I'll try to make the next one not. And Lee Crystal puts in $20 with a pair saying, goal! Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. I love that pair for some reason. And that was too kind. I didn't deserve that, but holy crap. Thank you so much, my friend. Live with Matthew says, thanks. It was rough to watch the original. Ad hominem is the lowest form of arguing, and it is used when you have feelings, not facts, to support your position. Exactly. And that's all Steve's got. If you watch his video on it, all he's got is conservatives are racists. Conservatives are racist. Oh, by the way, conservatives are racist. And when he gets to, a couple of times in his video, he touches on some genuine reasons why conservatives might actually like Star Trek, and then he has to throw a snide comment in at the end in order to make sure that he drives home the fact that conservatives are racist. You know, and that's not an effective argument. So, Dan says, have you seen some of those Starfleet ships where you think, how do you get from the saucer to the secondary hull? Well, yeah, like the Oberth class is a good question. No problem. Love the earlier video. Thank you. Continuum. Darren says, good morning, Tennessee. Good morning. I always forget. Are you in Wisconsin? Yeah, you're a cheese. Or is it or Michigan. I don't know. You're in one of those states. I can never remember, Darren. Well, I love you, man. We'll need a mic if we want to play. Will we need a mic if we want to play Risk during the marathon stream? It's preferred, but not a requirement. So no, if you don't have a mic, other Childs, but you want to participate, then absolutely you can still participate. Bird of Prey says, and he wonders why he loses viewers. Well, yeah, I know. I keep showing you. I need to stop showing you. Thomas says, what do you mean? Do you wish me a good morning, or mean that the it is a good morning, or whether I want it or not, or that you feel that this is good this morning, or that it is a morning to be good on? Yes, one of the best sections of The Hobbit. I like Bird's song from DS9. I'd have to hear that one. I'm not sure what song you mean. And sorry, my sinuses are just all backed up today. My allergies have just been killing me ever since grass cutting season started. Darth Revan says first. Thomas says, Bird of Prey because of you. Yes. I don't know. How can anyone interact with Steve? He openly admits he doesn't care what others think. Well, yeah, and that's what I finished the video with. He actually asks people to unsubscribe from his channel. And so, out of respect for Steve, I've been subscribed to Steve at least since 2015. I think before that. And so I unsubscribed from his channel when I finished making the video. That was actually me unsubscribing from his channel, and I will not resubscribe unless he reaches out and says, oh no, I was just kidding, guys, which he's not going to do. But I also did, in fact, tell YouTube I don't want any more suggestions from his channel because he doesn't want to talk about it. Fine. If you're going to be so... And that's the funny thing. I mean, he is openly closed-minded, which is amazing to me because then he accuses conservatives, Republicans, and the religious of being closed-minded. But he's openly being closed-minded. He's literally saying, you don't agree with me. La, 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 la. You know, that's... Hey, Trigger, what's the preferred drink during the marathon? Water, Gatorade, cola, or something else? It'll probably be a mixed bag. I will probably have some cola. I will probably have some adult libations, particularly the earlier parts of the stream when it's still evening. I'm not going to be drinking all night long, but, you know, I'll have a few probably in the first half. And probably some water as well to keep the hydration going. Plenty of Geloja breaks, you know. That nitro made God reevaluate humanity. That nitro made God reevaluate humanity's existence. Not sure what you mean there, Darth Revan. Maybe it's a Irish thing. Did you hear about the place in the world that hasn't gotten coronavirus because they believe that the passion play about the death of Jesus they do every 10 years prevented the disease? No, I did not. I did not hear about that. Good job repairing the bridge. How many days on dry dock did it take? Oh, no, this is only temporary. Still got lots of work to do. And then Life with Matthew telling Thomas all of them at once. I'm not sure what he means there. Darth Vader says, so discovered my beard from the chin. It curls up the way towards my nose. So discovered my beard from the chin. It curls up the way towards my nose. Okay. Bird of Prey says, what's Steve Shive's video? The video that I released this morning, my friend. It's a almost hour-long evisceration of Steve Shive's Why Do Conservatives Like Star Trek video. And if you haven't seen Steve Shive's Why Do Conservatives Like Star Trek video, it is the most bigoted, horrifically bad 20 minutes of hate speech on YouTube. Robert says, good video about Shives. Thank you, my friend. Darth Revan says, what would a right-wing progressive be? Well, a right-wing progressive would be a person who does believe in a true egalitarian society, which, by the way, is the ultimate goal of conservatism, is that things like race, religion, sexual orientation, all that stuff should not matter at all. Here's the problem, and this does get in the way of the progressive conservative movement, is that you have your social conservatives, or what some people banned as the religious right. Now, I am religious, and I consider myself more or less right of center, but the religious right are people that put their religious beliefs into political policy. So, for example, If you believe that action X is a sin, then you should enact policy to make action X illegal. I do not believe in that. I don't believe that you should make sin illegal. Why? Because if you cannot sin, then does that make someone righteous? No, you're just forcing them to behave. So it needs to be a choice. I do believe in free will. I do believe in freedom of choice. And I believe that if somebody wants to live their life in an ultimately self-destructive way, they have the right to do so. However, there are those that try to, I guess, I don't know if you call it the regressive right, but whatever you want to call it, the social conservatives out there that want to imbue traditional values into legislation, and I don't believe in that. And so I believe in what I consider classical liberalism or true conservatism, whichever you want to call it. So that, I hope, gives you an idea, Darth Revan. Live Matthew says, Steve doesn't know his history and understand that Democrats actively fought against the end of segregation and giving everyone equal opportunity. No, he does not. He thinks that it's all those mean old conservatives that did it. He doesn't understand the whole liberal conservative dynamic. But it's not even that. It's not about pointing the finger at the liberals of old and saying, see how bad they were. It's just to say that, you know what? People are messed up. And I would say this, a progressive conservative and a progressive liberal should be able to work together towards a better future. And I think we see that in Trek. And that's why I showed some of the episodes, even of TNG, are very conservative, especially like you look at Best of Both Worlds, the whole idea, and this is why Gene Roddenberry hated Best of Both Worlds, by the way. But the very idea of showing the concepts of liberty versus pure collectivism in the Borg. And that's right there. You want a left-right argument that's hard right. That's it in TNG. Robert says, as a conservative myself, Steve Shives doesn't have a clue about us. I agree. He doesn't. He doesn't understand conservatives, and quite frankly, he doesn't understand Trek. He just does Trek because it's popular. Because his Trek Actually videos are popular. And that kind of started when he showed up on Untitled Show about nerdy stuff, and we started talking about Star Trek, and he had some fun with it. And he started doing some Star Trek videos on his channel, and they took off. Thomas is offended that I won't offend people. Oh, golly gee. I took something from Life with Matthew's book. Matthew says, it's easier to fight a straw man than someone who actually holds an opinion you disagree with. Indeed, and that's why I wanted to make sure I include most of Steve's video in my response, because I want to make sure that people know I am not arguing against a straw man. I'm arguing directly against what Steve says. And you know, because here's the thing. If I actually tried to simply sit there and articulate what Steve's positions are, most people would probably accuse me of strawmanning, because they would think there's no way that Steve is that close-minded. He doesn't think that all conservatives are racists. Okay, here's the proof, you know. Yosef says, I'm not an American. Yes, we know that, Yosef. We all know that you're Slavic. I'm not American, and I had to unsub a long time ago from Steve. He's full of hate and bias and does not understand Trek, and I'm actually liberal. Well, and that's the thing, and I appreciate that, Yosef, as much as I joke about stuff. I do appreciate the fact, more than you know, that I have a substantial liberal following. Because I know that we disagree on a lot of this stuff. And that's okay, though, but we can disagree without being dicks. At least most of us can. Darren says, I'm continually impressed with how fluidly the American left manipulates the shape of language. They do a very good job of it. At least some of them. Not all, and that's the thing. We got to be careful, Darren, because it's not all liberals, obviously. Your rank and file, average, everyday Democrat is a perfectly nice person. And I don't have a problem with them per se. I have a problem with dogmatic thinking. And I have a problem as soon as it goes from, well, I believe in this, to you're bad, you've crossed a line. And that's the line that Steve crossed a long time ago. Dan says, have you ever enjoyed any DVD commentary? Yes. When DVD commentary was good, I did. Honestly, I like commentary that talks about how something was made or how it was written. Like, some of the best commentary is actually Ronald D. Moore's commentary on Battlestar Galactica 2004. Great stuff. It's very informal. He's usually drinking a scotch and reminiscing about how he came to certain creative decisions on the episode, but that really gets into the mind of a writer better than most. Darth Maul says, just finished your Steve effing Hubris Shives video. He'd be annoyingly Worf-like in Drumhead if the situation came up. Oh, absolutely. All you have to do is replace the Romulan with Republican. And Steve would be gung-ho towards, persecuting the guy. Wesley says, greetings, turds, birds, and I'm not happy today. I'm sorry, Wes. Well, hopefully you'll be happier later than you are now. I think. Zachary says, I think Steve Shives messed up with his thinking of social norms in general and politics. Social norms can change anytime. Political views are concrete. But he doesn't get that. You're right. Boris Rose on Easter Sunday. That's horrible. Dad says, yeah, there's a place somewhere that mentioned in the news today that they banned black people because they thought they were spreading coronavirus. Really? That seems awfully horrible. Our Prime Minister in Ireland's a left-winger, took money away from elderly for heating in winter, refused to help homeless, give $2 billion to foreign aid, although the country is against it. I don't know what to say. I don't know your politics there, Darth Revan, so, good luck in the next election. Darth Revan says, it seems certain words will get a Checker channel hit even in joke. Oh, is that why that one was deleted? Okay. Yeah, you do want to be careful about using words like, and thank you, Darth Revan, for pointing that out, and especially anybody that's relatively new around here. You want to avoid, for example, talking about the political party that controlled Germany in the 1940s, their general attitudes. And it's difficult, I know, when we talk about politics, it can be very difficult to not bring up that stuff. So... And it's difficult. But Lee says, shut up and take my money. I will happily take your money, Lee. Thank you again. I truly appreciate it. Neo Normie says, I did post your video to him on Patreon. I'm a $1.50 Patreon of Steve. And I do squeeze in a question on his stream as an ups man of the adpocalypse. Well, unfortunately, if you bring it to his attention, honestly, depending on Steve's mood, he may try to DMCA the video now. But he's been known to do stuff like that in the past. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he sees. Because that's the thing. Steve knows who I am. And, we've talked many times. So I would hope that he would actually listen to what I have to say and take it to heart. But he probably won't. He'll just think that I'm a right-wing nut job. Andy Draker's swallowed the Kool-Aid. He must be a Republican now because obviously only a Republican could be so hateful as to disagree with him. Vile says, speaking of printing, send me a Skype message about posting the mask, but I gotta go to work. Insert good relative time period here. Everyone and stay healthy. Indeed, Vile Mike, I will. Dan says, just saw an advert where a boy was playing with baby doll. Not something they do much on TV. Some people don't encourage that in society. Well, quite frankly, the reason that most people don't encourage that in society is that boys tend to gravitate towards things other than dollies. Just being real about it. It's funny. It's not that, like, when I was a kid, my parents didn't discourage me from playing with dolls. They didn't encourage me to play with dolls. They let me play with the kind of toys I wanted to play with as a kid. And how about we just do that? And that's the stupid thing. It's not, and that's unfortunately where some of this identity politics crap is going, is that rather than say, oh, you're bad because you don't encourage your kid to do something, as opposed to discouraging your kid. So if you have a girl that wants to be a tomboy, as they called it in my day, and so she's out there, playing with toy guns and roughhousing with the boys, or you have a boy that wants to play with dolls and all that, fine. but you don't go out of your way to mold the kids into a stereotype one way or the other. And then you have crap like what, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Well, we're going to let our children choose their gender. No! Jeez, And Tim says, good morning, sir. I'm from Wisconsin. Well, good to see you, Tim. Was that an older video of Steve Shives? No, actually, that video was just a few weeks ago. I meant to do a thing on it when it first hit, but it first hit right about the time that the coronavirus was taken off, and so it got put on the back burner. And then actually Pianodean reminded me that I wanted to do a response to it when we were talking in a recent live stream. It was actually my supporter stream, actually, he mentioned it. Neil Normie says, when are you going to review Turkish Star Trek, his first movie of Star Trek made in 1973, and it's not very bad, it's very TOS. I don't know if I'm going to ever do a review of Turkish Star Trek. How dare you interrupt the watching of your show? Sorry, Kronos. You can go back. I found something on Amazon that Alexander would hate. Uh-oh. And Josh says, free Aberjam. Indeed, we do need to rescue Aberjam from the bowels of Karoga. Why give an idiot like Shives time of day in the first place, Andrew? Well, here's the thing. It's easy to say that, but keep in mind, Shives is a significant channel. He's over 100,000 subscribers. So when he does stuff like this, it has a significant impact on the community. And therefore, I feel as another member of said community, it is my obligation to respond to it in kind. And honestly, I'll probably do that every now and then because it's something that we need to do. We need to hold each other accountable, each other meaning the nerd community. And if Steve Shives wants to consider himself one of the nerd community, I'm perfectly fine with that. But then dang it, he needs to, he needs to be held accountable just like anybody else. If Captain Foley had made a video that egregious, I would be doing a response to him. Number one sci-fi, hello to you and everyone else. How you doing, my friend? It's same thing with like if Lore did that video. If a video like that, especially a video that reaches a significant audience that could be misleading people into thinking, ideas of Star Trek and, continuing to encourage people to worship the altar of Roddenberry and crap like that. No, we need to have an honest talk about those things. Some people seem to think conservative means bigoted. To me, conservative is just old-fashioned. Once someone starts hating, they're no longer a conservative. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is conservative basically means, if you look it up in the dictionary, the actual term of conservative means a cautious person or a person that wants to preserve traditions. That's pretty much it. So yes, old-fashioned is actually a relatively accurate way to put it. But old-fashioned doesn't mean bad, and it also doesn't mean resistant to social progressivism, right? It doesn't mean, just because someone is old-fashioned doesn't mean they're racist. It just means that they may believe in things like using manners, please and thank you, something that we've lost in our society, quite frankly, and something that the conservatives are right to think that it's too bad we don't have manners anymore. Yes, Andrew, he wants to make he wants to make his channel a network for only people who agree with his ideals, which is entirely against Star Trek. Star Trek is accepting of others and their ideals. Yeah, that's the ironic thing. Well, there's a lot of irony in that video of Shives and his Trek videos in general. But yeah, he doesn't understand that what he, even when he's saying, like at the end of that video, when he's talking about how horrible conservatives are and how they are the very opposite of what Star Trek represents, him even saying that is the very opposite of what Star Trek represents. Thomas says, all of them at once is what Bilbo said in response to Gandalf. Good morning, quote, you goof. Sorry. Oh, okay, that's... here's the problem, Thomas. I wasn't thinking about the Gandalf quote when I saw Life with Matthew saying all of them at once. To give yourself a break on the 19th, dear God, it's going to be a long night stream. You could have a Cooking with Mrs. Anti-Trekker segment. I would love to, if she would be willing, but I don't think she'd be willing. Darth Maul says he's remarkably open with his closed-mindedness. That's some mental gymnastics on a level of how his opinions defend Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, and the funny thing is, and that's why I was thinking about getting into the politics of Trek, because true progressive with quotation marks, meaning the modern ultra-liberal progressive, not your average liberal, but the liberals like Steve Shives that identify as progressive. So in the true progressive sense, Trek should be like Discovery. That's what Steve probably thinks is great Trek. And remember, when Steve was talking about how he listed, not Republicans, but conservatives at the beginning of his video, one of the things that he actually sees as a fault in conservatives is their optimism. And so the fact that Discovery is bleak and depressing is a virtue to him. Steve makes caps look bad. Oh, because he wears baseball caps. I was like, what? Steve's video is a prime example of an updated adage where progressives believe conservatives are evil, but conservatives just think progressives are wrong. Well, but here's the thing. I don't think progressives are wrong. I think that people who think, first of all, progressivism doesn't mean liberal. I think liberals are far left liberals are wrong, and by the way, I would say far right conservatives are wrong. I think that that ultimately we need a more moderate position, and the problem is we're not allowing ourselves to see the virtue in people that we disagree with. And let's see, Antifa and alt-right are two sides of the same coin. Would not exist without each other. Yeah, they are very, very similar. Live with Matthew says, holy crap, just got to the part where Shives tried to compare the condition of women in Saudi Arabia to the movement in the U.S. Talk about being ignorant to the suffering of the Saudis. Exactly. And I didn't even get into that because I didn't want to sound like I was bashing a liberal position. Even though I know that, like I said, most liberals understand that women in the United States are not oppressed. Wake up call. Women in the United States, legally speaking, are in 100% equal to men. And in fact, women in the United States have certain protections that men do not. And so you could actually argue that men in the U.S. are oppressed more than women from a legal perspective. Now, does that mean that sexism is dead? No, of course there are sexist dicks out there. But you know what you can't do? You can't pass a law to make that go away. Just like you can't pass a law to say Steve Shives has to be open-minded. You know, it doesn't work that way. People are going to be dicks, and that's part of social evolution. True progressivism is moving towards a society where the mindset is no longer biased. And that we're a long ways off from. But from a legal perspective, women are absolutely equals to men in the United States. And so to sit there and compare the oppression of women in the United States to the oppression of women in Saudi Arabia is an absolute insult to the Saudis and an insult to women. And yet those self-same quote-unquote progressive women would be cheering him on for saying that because they genuinely think they're oppressed because not exactly 50% of all CEOs are women. Because it's all about outcome. Not about equality. It's not, they don't, and that's why I've said before, they meaning the hard left progressives, again, I got to use quotation marks every time I say that, but the hard left progressive movement does not understand egalitarianism, and in fact, they would find egalitarianism offensive. Hey, one of our friends is going through a hard time. Can I DM you about frustrating idea if I have it's okay in the next few days on Twitter? You absolutely can, Darth Revan. You can always send me a message. I can't always respond, but you please do. The bad politicians were born in Karoga. That is true. I think Steve Shives is, in fact, from Karoga. Tim says, got done with my latest project, tweeted you last night. Very cool. I have not been on Twitter in the last 12 hours or so I probably haven't seen it. I'll be honest with you. Last night, I was exhausted when I went to bed, and then my phone kept going off all night long with Twitter and Skype. And then, of course, Skype goes off again at 6 o'clock in the morning because Bird sent me a message. And don't get me wrong, Bird, I appreciate the message you sent me, but it was just like, oh, come on. And let's see. Darren says, I've enjoyed some of the Steve Shives Trek Actually videos, but his inability to not be a social justice weenie in the videos eventually turned me off. Yeah, that's the problem. It's like, I very rarely get into politics on my channel. I'm going to in a few videos, but I don't all the time. Steve cannot make a commentary about Star Trek without throwing at least one insult against Trump, Republicans, or conservatives. And I don't get that. It's like a lot of years ago, UK politicians said they banned Arctic monkeys, but they knew nothing about them. Just said it because they were popular at the time. Young people liked them. Well, yeah. Steve Shives is a millennial. Enough said. Well, I don't know how old he is exactly. I just know he is younger than me. But yeah. Can Steve Shives take off his hat? I'm sure. I think actually I have seen him without his hat like once or twice. So yes, he can. He just chooses not to because he just likes to. He thinks he's stylish. Zachary says Shives spoke about Trek actors being American, but does he realize Shatner was Canadian who immigrated to the U.S.? Actually, no. He was talking about the characters being American. And so, and that's why I ripped that to pieces, because in no Trek show have the majority of the characters been American. None. And so from the original series all the way through. Actually, let me take that back. I think Discovery might actually be the first Trek show where the majority of characters are American. It's just that they have gays now, so that makes it better. Because, and that's the problem, when you put identity above everything else, you're not helping. Darren says, when I say the American left in capital letters, I'm not referring to the rank and file Democrat voters. I'm talking about the professional left. I understand, but that's just something, and I know, Darren, you didn't intend this, but we all have to be careful about that, because then it'll turn into a shouting match. And I've done this, and I feel bad every time somebody calls me out on it, is where I just say, oh, liberals do this. And what I mean is these far left, the quote-unquote progressives. And if I don't say that every time, then somebody who is just a rank-and-file liberal is going to say, hey, wait a minute, I thought we were on the same page. But, so yeah. And so I will be right back, guys. Give me just a second. So enjoy a little Aussie O'Prey.
And the shrimp fall off the Barbie. And in Tasmania, they're all cousins. The cousins marrying each other. Tasmania.
There we go. Unmute. So yeah, I had to clear out the old sinuses there, and figure you didn't want me to do that into the microphone. So let's see. Captain MKG says, "Morning, getting my coffee as well. Hope you and everyone in the chat as well. Thank you, Captain. I'm hanging in there, my friend. I'm very happy with. It seems that the response to this video has been really good, and it's very encouraging to me, because I've been very depressed about the way that YouTube has been suppressing, not saying oppressing, suppressing my videos as of late. And say, best Star Trek audio commentary track was Star Trek The Motion Picture Commentary by Robert Wise. I don't know if I've listened to that one. If I did, it was a very long time ago. Zachary says, by the way, Trigger, for a positive, Shatner is still doing Captain's Logs on Twitter, which is nice. Very cool. I do like Shatner. That is one of the very few celebrities that when he goes, man, that's going to be a rough day for me. And generally, I don't get all starstruck. Like, even when Leonard Nimoy passed away, I was sad by it, but I wasn't like, oh. But William Shatner, oh, that's going to be a tragedy. People need to recognize just how great Gene Simmons' performance was in the Drumhead. Watching her come apart at the end is like watching an avalanche. Harris, Yulin, and DS9's duet too. Yeah, and that's the thing. The Drumhead is such a great episode, and it's another one that Steve does. You know, and that's the thing. Like notice he likes to do this in his videos. He'll say, "Well, this is what this person intended," without showing anything to back it up. Right? I don't know what Jerry Taylor was thinking when she wrote that. I don't. Nor do I care. What I care about is what we see on screen. And what we see on screen is a witch hunt. And we see a witch hunt that could be under any type of mentality. It could be liberal, it could be conservative, it could be religious, it could be atheistic, it could be a lot of different things. In this particular case, it was actually racial, right? When this one kid that was claiming to be part Vulcan was actually part Romulan, and so that ruined his. Now, was the kid guilty of forging documents? Yes. However, was it some kind of grand conspiracy? No. And so, but I dare say that if we found out that rather than Romulan, that they said Republican, that Steve Shives would be all about, he would be on Sadi's side in a heartbeat. Manasan says, enter, I hate new game fact-checking. So-called fact-checkers will check you on frivolous things to discredit you. AG Antraker said stuff on Kuroga which show him to be a liar. Yeah, that is a and that's the thing. I'm not trying to, and as far as like, you know, I don't care when we start talking about like what was the intent of an episode. Doesn't matter. What matters is what's on screen. You know, people talk. That's one of the problems where I took issue with some of the Phantom Menace when we watched Picard or we watched, you know, the Rise of Skywalker. Picard in particular, though, is that people will say, oh, well, don't you know this whole thing is just about Brexit and Trump? Well, that might have been the intent of the writers, but that's not what comes across on screen. And what comes across on screen is better than that. So I'm not going, you know, I don't care what Kurtzman or Shaban's intent was. What I care about is what is the final product. Darren says, boys do play with dolls. They're called action figures. Well, that is true. Old Norwegian proverb, punch an N, you'll know why popular since 1943. I don't know that particular proverb, and sounds like I'm glad I don't. Darren says, to him, anything right of Uncle Joe is probably as far right to him. Well, he just, and that's why I thought it's funny, because he basically just defines a conservative as being not him. Excommunicate Shive's mind. No, everybody is well. If Steve Shives, I will tell you right now, if Steve Shives actually reached out to me and said, hey, Andy Tricker, I want to be on your live stream and we can talk about this, he would be welcome. I would love to have him on. I've argued with him before, had a good time doing it. But if he wants to sit there and call me a racist to my face, he's going to get a mouthful right back. Darth Vader says, I'm the most right-wing person in my family, but to be honest, I don't care if a person is left or right. If you're a nice person, I'll hang out on Discord and good friends with Dems and Republicans. Yeah! And that's really, you know, that's the thing. I like a good-spirited argument. Like, Yosef and I have fought about stuff on various streams a few times, right? I enjoy the crap out of it because Yosef is a good debater. That's what I care about, is can we have a fun argument? You know, not, oh, well, you must be evil because you disagree with me. No, we have a different perspective on things. Darth says, ban politic talk on my Discord. Okay. Since you play with dolls, did you ever play with Kurogan only toy, the Bird of Prey 5 Barbie doll? No, I never have. I played with action figures, though. Haha, you said Pershan. Did I? Okay. I commented and plugged your response on his video. I couldn't resist. That's all right. And you know, if he DMCA's me, I will fight him. Because I think that what I did was commentary on his hate speech. To me, Klingons would be right. And although I'll be honest with you, if he actually did DMCA me, I'd just do an entire series of videos about the fact that Steve Shives is false DMCAing. To me, Klingons would be right-wing and Ferengi are ultra-capitalist. As far as, well, the Klingons, as far as their politics, they're very hawkish. You could say they were conservative in that respect, that they're very pro-military, but so is the Federation. As far as Ferengis are pure capitalism. The sad thing is that Marina Sirtis agrees with Steve Shives and adds a certain level of perceived legitimacy to what Shives believes. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure that he would probably use Marina's comments about, well, you see. And it's like, you do realize that she is paid to play pretend. You know, and she doesn't understand the mind of the conservative any better than Steve does. In fact, anybody that thinks that, oh, how could a conservative possibly like Star Trek, doesn't understand what a conservative is. Tona says, I know a gay black conservative gets insulted by open-minded progressives all the time. Well, yeah, but that's the problem. Open-minded is code in the progressive term, in political progressive, I should say. And Indie Tiger and, oh wow, I don't even know how to say your name, but thank you. Put in $10 each.
I had a similar comment regarding Last Battlefield. It doesn't matter if Loki or Belly is right. We're not supposed to know who is right. Hatred is futile in the end. Steve missed that.
100% correct, Indy. 100% correct. And Traxry? Wow.
Hi from the UK. I have really enjoyed the Submariner talking about Trek. I would describe myself as a small C conservative. I support democracy, freedom and civil liberties. I despise racism.
But no, thank you, however you say your name. But you know, first of all, Darren Wagner makes those Submariner videos, and he does an incredible job with it. Thank you, Darren. I know everybody's looking forward to your next one, and I understand you couldn't get one done this week, but that's okay. And that's the thing. According to Steve Shives, you can't be a conservative of any type because of the fact that you despise racism. Keep that in mind, because racism, according to Steve Shives, is a virtue for conservatives. Captain Trek is in the house. Good morning. How you doing, Captain Trek? Hope you're doing better. Can't believe I have to wait 33 hours for that fluffy bottom guy to stream. I know. He's such a jerk. And by the way, that's, you know, this is going to suck. Tomorrow, I'll probably join the fluffy bottom stream a little bit and hang out, but I can't do a live stream of my own because I was going to do one tomorrow morning. But then the doctor's appointment that I thought was canceled wasn't really canceled, so I have to go to that, and I apologize for that, guys. Only Quebec is oppressed. Yeah. Oh, not going to even go there. Darth says, Shives would fire 50% of all workers for 50% of all workers and CEOs are women, then fire more so that black, and then LGBT, then trans, and then disabled, then power, and then po-womaner. Don't know what po-womaner is, but yes. Roxas says, it's the anti-checkers, the Steve Shives hater. Yeah, and here's the thing, I don't hate Steve. I really don't. As a guy, I like him. I just hate what he said. I absolutely despise almost everything he said in that video. To be fair, when you have open sexists in Trump and a sex pass like Biden being your two choices, I can see why some women believe in patriarchy. Well, here's the thing. Okay, so now, is Trump a sexist because he said grab her by the fill in the blank? Some would say yes, some would say no. Maybe he was making a joke, you know, or whatever. And Biden, of course, is Mr. Touchy-feely, the Biden touch, right? And so, oh, well, that means the patriarchy? Well, it would only mean the patriarchy if women were not legally equal to men. And that's the problem. And this is what I argue anytime. If somebody wants to say women are oppressed in this country, I will ask them, please show me anything in law that shows that women are less than men. If you can, then that needs to be addressed. If you can't, then shut the hell up, because it's not the government's job to make everybody have nice thoughts. And I understand what you're saying about that. And yeah, Trump is a dick. And Biden, oh man, you know, so I get that. But just because these two guys are not particularly stellar examples of chivalry doesn't mean that, there aren't good men out there. Let's see. Darren says, Shive's Trek actually videos remind me of radio talk shows that weren't supposed to be political, but invariably were because the hosts were flaming liberals. Very true. Marlena Monroe is in the house. How's my favorite representative from the Mirror Universe? Good to see you, ma'am. Darth Maul says, Steve in his early 40s, and if he took the hat off, he'd look like the Red Skull. No, I think, I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I've seen him without his hat at least once, and he just has a normal head of hair. I mean, I know everybody was speculating he's bald because he always wears baseball caps. I think he just likes baseball caps, or he thinks he's very stylish with them. You are wrong. LaForge was born in Somalia. He's not an American. Oh, well, in that case, I stand corrected. So, bam. Shame on me. And that means even less of Trek is American. Your nose has Kuroga. Yes, indeed. My nose is very Kuroga'd today. Confirm Andy Jagger doesn't miss Nimoy. That's not what I said. Get it right. I won't. Here's the thing. When Shatner goes, I will miss Shatner more. Doesn't mean I said I was sad when Nimoy passed away. I truly was. And in fact, I regretted never having had a chance to meet him. I was supposed to meet him at a convention, and then he canceled, and then he died. And so it was, unfortunate, but I never got the chance to meet him. I doubt Trick cares how we dislike the constant bird videos. But here's the thing, Captain Trek, you hate me, so we're even, right? Consumption of local honey is a great natural treatment of allergies and so forth. Yeah, but I hate honey. Actually, Kirk was born in Iowa. Yes, that makes him an American. That's what. I thought the drumhead was more about protecting civil liberties and individual rights and against groupthink. I agree, but Steve thinks it's specifically an anti-conservative episode. I think it does show the problem of being overzealous and groupthink, absolutely, and protecting individual rights. Which is interesting. The Picard has always been a champion for liberty and civil rights, and yet that is definitely against the progressive agenda. Dr. Scotty says, I loved your review of the short trek and want you to continue. It's unique and entertaining. Greetings from the Caneros region of Sonoma County, making more wine to send your way. Thank you so much, Dr. Scotty. And of course, I grew up in Sonoma County, so very cool. Dan says, James Tiberius Kirk was born in Riverside, Iowa, March 22nd, 2233, according to Wikipedia. Yes. Well, and it was actually canonized that he's from Iowa in Star Trek 4, where he actually said, no, I'm from Iowa, I only work in outer space. Of course, Ant Trekker likes us to suffer. No, just you, Captain Trek, just you. If you're not going to have Steve Shives on your channel before you have me on your channel, actually, on second thought, that would be fine. Actually, I'm just saying, if he wanted to come on, I would welcome him. Darren, we were talking about, I wanted to have you come on for maybe a couple of hours on Sunday, if you're available, because during the marathon stream. I was going to have a couple of people come on for, like, different times. Bird of Prey, I actually want to have come on as well. So we can, like, have a slugfest of Kuroga and Turtistan in Risk. What do you think about anyone who thinks Black Alert and Discovery is racist? Well, I think that's stupid. Black Alert is just, they just wanted to come up with something that sounded even more edgy than Red Alert. I don't think that's racist any more than saying that, why would that be racist? That doesn't even make sense. Yo says, Steve is not interested in discussions. He blocks people. He admits how close-minded he is right in that video. Yes, that's why I showed that part. Tonight at 11:40 p.m., 108 years ago, the Titanic hit the iceberg. What deck did you say your cabin was on? Bird of Prey 5 Barbie with she-male action. And you push the back and it goes, son of a bitch. The quartering would be all over it if Shives DMCA'd your video. I'd probably reach out to the quartering and Geeks and Gamers and other people that and definitely make a stink out of it. And so that would probably be good for my channel, actually. I heard at Kuroka I assume you mean Karoga. All children toys are made of uranium and female hygiene products are made from acid and happiness is punished with lobotomy. Bird giggled once and we all know he can't walk anymore after his surprise sex from the elephant. Wow. That's wow. Every time I play against strangers, they always break the alliance. Bastards. You know, it's funny you say that, Bird, because everybody keeps telling me how you keep breaking their alliances when you play Risk. Interesting. Maria Sirtis has been known to falling asleep watching Star Trek things. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Risk should show which people are allied, since in real life we'd know. Well, doesn't, I guess. Hilariously, Steve Shives is a liberal progressive who is anti-Bernie and pro-Warren, mainly because he wants a woman president. Me, I'm a social libertarian, and I find liberalism weak. Well, and that's the thing. I don't care what the gender of the president is, and that's where egalitarianism comes into play. That's why I consider myself an egalitarianist, I guess, is because I don't care what the gender of the president is. I don't care what the race of the president is. I don't care what the sexual orientation of the president is. What I care about is the president competent? That's all I care about. You should always cancel the doctor's appointment yourself. Well, here's the thing, Tim. I got a notification from them last week saying that because of the coronavirus, all unnecessary appointments have been canceled, and it said, so your appointment has been canceled. Okay, fine. But then I got a text message this morning that said, your appointment for tomorrow is scheduled at 9 a.m. And I'm like, what? Huh? And so I called them. And in fact, that's why this stream got started later than I wanted, because I was waiting on hold for the doctor's office to confirm whether or not I actually have an appointment tomorrow. And I guess I do. And I actually do want to do the appointment, but it's not what you would consider a medical necessity. They're doing a nerve conduction study on my hands to try and figure out why my hands are hurting so much. And Luke Fauvark, my favorite Frenchman, is in the house. Luke, my friend, I missed you so much. I am so glad to see you, Luke. I know that I haven't been able to do too many morning live streams. I was really hoping you would show up today. And good to see you. I hope things are well.
I got him! Don't get cocky.
Hello there, smiley face. Play a super chat I may have missed.
I got one for you, Luke. I got one right here. It's you're gonna love this. This is the dreaded Corona chat number, or Karoga chat number 1.
Mom, what about our cereal?
Nobody cares about cereal, Ricky!
Please, miss, I need some paper tissue for... eating your toilet paper.
There you go, Luke. And yes, Joseph, Luke did get a discount on that one, but I haven't seen Luke in so long. I'm glad you're okay, Luke. I hope that I know that France has been hit fairly high, so hope you are doing okay, my friend. And I still can't say your name. Tuxworry. And I'm sorry, I can never get your name right, but throws 5 pounds in, and any second now. Come on! Stupid. I'm sorry. Tuctory. It's like the system is broken. What's going to happen is, so I'm going to keep reading chats, and then it will immediately start playing. So if I say Thomas, see? What can I say?
I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky.
South Park Season 19 did AI better than Picard. The adverts becoming sentient. It's the same story, better written and funnier.
I actually agree. South Park did do AI better than Picard. Oh, man. That's sad, really. But that, Picard, it wasn't horrible. It's just that there was so many missed opportunities. That's the story of Picard. All right, let me try to get caught up because I do need to wrap things up here in a few. Todd says that's a guy I liked him. Yeah, you know what I mean. I hate it when I mean, as a person, as another human being. I've enjoyed my interactions with Steve, but he's a complete dick when you get into politics. I hate it when certain TV channels cut things from the Search for Spock, like Kirk swearing, or when he is killing the Klingon. They cut that little bit. You know what? It depends on where you are, because I've never seen those cut, honestly. Robert says, in Iran, they actually have some special flatbed trucks made up to hang gay people from. What party was and is about supporting Iran? Well, apparently Republicans, according to Steve Shives. There's a TNG episode in Season 3 that was banned in certain countries because they believed it was pro-terrorism, suggesting it was okay to do terrorism acts. I don't know what episode that is, but that's an interesting idea. Brian says, hey, from Mississippi, an older lady in New York told me her favorite movie was Mississippi Burning. She said that she had never visited Mississippi. We're not a bad state. Well, that's the thing, is that a lot of people don't understand that the South is not what they think it is. They really don't. And Pianodean is also from Mississippi, as he points out there, and I remember you told me that before. Very true, we're awesome. Hate the humidity, though. Yes. Confirmed, anti-checker killed me. I did not. Shut up! Zach says, Trump and Biden both have their issues. I'm afraid it's going to be a close vote in November. I don't think it will. I think Trump is going to win in a landslide. Quite frankly, his approval numbers are as good as they've been, and because he's handling the coronavirus situation fairly well. I know that, some people hate him, and those people are going to hate him no matter what, but honestly, he's doing everything he can. I got called a sexist by a customer, or do you mean cousin, because she said men get paid more. I said, do me a favor and get your paycheck and find a man with your same position who worked the same hours if he gets paid more. Yeah, it's a lie. The wage gap is a lie. I'm sorry. At least in the United States, I know for a fact it is. But, in other countries, it probably is. Yes, there are some countries that have institutionalized sexism, like Saudi Arabia, but that's not the norm. Speaking of the norm, the neo-normie says, Steve has what we call the 50p effect. He has a small bald spot on top of his head, but does color his hair and beard as he is going gray. Well, I don't care. I don't care. How can Kirk be American when America doesn't exist? Well, it does. Tell your government you can sue. Tell the government you can sue your company. Not sure what you mean. Here, what drives me nuts is social equality movement. It's the equality of opportunity, not the equality of outcome. I agree, rock solid. That is the problem, is that what we need is equal opportunity, not equal guaranteed outcome. But the problem, and this is where, like me and Mr. Antricker have talked about this at length a few times. Here's the problem, the real crux of it, is that on the one hand, from a philosophical perspective, you are 100% correct. We need equal opportunity in this country, not equal outcome. But due to the past institutionalized racism, sexism, etc., it is impossible to simply wipe the slate clean and say, okay, everybody gets an equal chance. Because, for example, the educational system in our inner cities is falling apart at the seams, where the educational system in upper middle class and upper class neighborhoods is pristine. And so you're already giving rich kids a leg up. And so we need to find a way to truly equalize opportunity. And it's not an easy solution, and I think liberals and conservatives need to work together to come up with something, but unfortunately, they're not willing to do that. Captain Tricks, I never said I hate you. Yes, I show up all the time for... yes, I show up all the time for someone I hate. Well, you always say how horrible I am on bird streams, so you know. You can have other people in your marathon. You can't have other people in your marathon stream. That's cheating. That's not a marathon. That's a relay race. No. Don't get me wrong, Darren. They're not going to take over the stream like where I go take a nap for 2 hours. I'm going to be like when you come on, I'll be talking with you. When Bird comes on, I would be talking with Bird. I'm not going to leave the stream. So for me, it will be a marathon. Darth Vader says, this will sound wrong, but I said it would be hilarious if they were going into the Spore Drive and Burnham walks in and Pike shouts, Black Alert. I'd laugh so hard. That's horrible. That really is. The UK had 2 female prime ministers. Well, that's good. You guys are nice and progressive, I guess. I'm doing okay. Bit lack of energy lately, but trying to get stuff done. I understand that, Dean. I understand that. But get your butt to work. Ireland has had 2 presidents. We have a gay, half-Indian, super left-wing prime minister, and we popular voted in gay marriage, so you don't hear SJWs shouting about how and you don't hear SJWs shouting about how progressive we are, because, you know, you're Irish. It's Luke Favark. We all know it is. Yes. Good to see you, Luke. Darren says, man, if you have to if you keep having these medical issues, in 10 years you're going to look like MODOK, which might actually be awesome for your channel, come to think of it. That would be. Because the coronavirus, all essential procedures are canceled, Andrew. Hello, I'll bet you slip up at the doctor's office and say coronavirus. I probably would. And I've done that a couple times, talking to people not on YouTube, and I say coronavirus, and I say, oh, okay, I call it that on my YouTube channel and have to explain it. Let's see. The UK never had a black prime minister, but the US has had a black president. The UK has had female prime minister. The US has not had a female president. Yes, so we trade off. But you know what? It's not about checking off a list. It's not about a quota. It's about get the best person for the job, right? At 11 years old, everything starts hurting. Boy, that's the truth. And the corona-apocalypse, indeed. Luke says, awesome. Joshua outdid himself. Yes, that was... I love that one. When waiting on hold, did you get hold music? Unfortunately, yes. And Bird of Prey puts in a buck. What does Bird of Prey say? Seriously? It's not going to read it? So now I got to go back and read it. All right, fine. Let's see. StreamYabs dashboard. Bring it up. Oh, of course, now you... I hate Streamlabs. It like keeps logging you out, so you have to re-log in. Hold on. Be there in just a second. I'll say, so Bird of Prey donated $1 and said... I'm a cheating son of a bitch, and I don't care. I'm so mad. I get beaten by you all the time and need to cheat. I'm so sick of Thomas killing me all the time. I'm so mad you turn sassy against me, and I will never free Mamo, Prey, or Aberjam. They are mine. Number 8, you dick. And you know, that is 100... I can see, because it pops up on my screen, who actually sent the super chat, and I can see it is from Bird. Let's see where we Robert says we know why your hand is hurting so much, but that one reason for having a wife. But isn't that one reason for having a wife? That's just horrible. Mr. Plinkett's going to do a review, Picard. Can't wait for that. Wait, let me... Star Trek Picard is the most disappointing show since my grandfather committed suicide. Something like that's how it's going to start. How do you like my Plinkett imitation? Have to get out the medicine. Have to go out to get medicines at times. Yes, indeed. So what's your overall opinion rating of Season 1? I actually gave Picard Season 1 a 6 out of 10, Luke. It is entertaining, but not great. It's not horrible, but it could have been a whole lot better. It should have been a whole lot better. Basically, to sum it up, it should have been called Star Trek Missed Opportunities. Christopher says, new subscriber to your channel. Loved your recent response to Steve Shias. And as a pastor, I really appreciate your Christian perspective on COVID-19. Keep up the good work and God bless. Thank you, Christopher. And I truly, truly appreciate that. And Life with Matthew says, read the comment from Christopher just above this one. I did. So, and by the way, the reason Life with Matthew said that, Christopher, if you're still here, is because if you want me to read your comment, make sure you put @Anti-Trekker in the comment, so that way it highlights on my screen. And let's see, Darth Vader says, Christopher, hey dude, @Anti-Trekker, so he can see you. Also, @Anti-Trekker, read Christopher's last message, which I did. I need somewhere that you're not supposed to take mouthwash. I read somewhere that you're not supposed to take mouthwash after cleaning your teeth. I don't know about that. It was banned for the line Ireland was reunified through terrorism during the height of the Troubles. Ah, gotcha. Zachary says, Pianodean Bestley missed you last night. Yeah, it was sad to not have Pianodean on last night, but he needed a night off, and so that's all right. That's all right. And hold on, because the sinuses are getting to a point where I need to do a nose loja.
Is what you Americans would call Alabama or Mississippi, but that's all Tasmania. They're all effed up down there.
And there we go, unmute. All right. I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm an anti-Femite. The wage gap is a lie. I agree. Yes, so Southern girls are hot. Definitely break all stereotypes. The high ground that was banned was the band EP. Oh, that's the band episode. Gotcha. Aberjan says, I agree with you on Trump's re-election. I've been saying for the last year that he'll take 60 to 65%. I think he's going to do pretty darn good. Yeah, it's going to be a big landslide for him. School choice would improve education. I think that actually, and this is where I know that a lot of my conservative friends think I'm completely off my rocker, but I will, and don't worry, Luke, no, it's not the coronavirus, it's just my allergies. But I do believe this wholeheartedly. We need to federalize the education system. We need to make schools equal. We truly do. And we can't do that on a state-by-state basis. It needs to be under the purview of the federal government. So I would support, number one, a constitutional amendment, because I believe in doing things the right way, a constitutional amendment federalizing, and me donates $1.
I'm a big liar, I lie all the time. You can't believe anything I say. Bird is my moral and intellectual superior. Mrs. Anti-Trekker only married me because I had her hypnotized by a funny-looking frog I found while searching for bunnycorns to eat.
Well, me, you're not me, so you are welcome to your opinion, but Mrs. Anti-Trekker didn't marry you, me. See. Anyway, I do believe we need to federalize, so I would pass a constitutional amendment to that the federal government was to take over public education, K through 12, and in fact, actually, and then all publicly owned schools all the way through secondary education would be controlled by the government, regulated by the government, same agenda for everybody, and same standards for everybody, and then be free. But the problem is that you see, local control of schools is just and that's the problem. Everybody says, well, but you need local control of education. That's just buzz for keep the rich schools prosperous and the poor schools falling apart. We can't have that anymore. We need to change that. The educational system in inner cities fall apart because the inner cities people elected crappy people to run their schools. Well, actually, it's more to it than that. They also don't have the resources that they need. Is it still cheating to have it's still cheating to have others on your marathon stream. Lord doesn't, on his marathon streams, Lord isn't better than you, is he? Well, no, I'm going to do it better than him. See, by having other people on. It's not all about me. Is there ever been a clear map in Trek in which parts of the Earth were destroyed by Colonel Green in World War III in 2050? I know Washington and New York are destroyed. No, there's never been anything clearly showing it. Yeah, I'm the one who plans to cheat, unabashedly cheat, and do a relay race marathon stream. Yeah, because you're a jerk. Anti-Trigger is cheating on 24-hour stream. It's not going to be a 24-hour stream. I wish it was, but it will not be because I have an appointment in the morning. Trekkie Gal is in the house. Says, good morning at the doctor's office. Bored as hell. I'm sorry. And let's see. And Luke says, well, I pay him good money despite the quarantine and subsequent unemployment. He better make discounts. Absolutely, Luke. Absolutely, my friend. Bird of Prey 5 broke the chat assistant. I think he did. And Bird is saying lies, all lies. No. The female prime ministers here in the UK came from our Conservative Party, whereas the Labour Party, who do positive discrimination, affirmative action, have not had a female leader. That's interesting. Yeah, because I think about Margaret Thatcher was a staunch conservative, if I remember correctly. Now, I was pretty young when she was in office, but yeah. Antrigger, good Plinkett impression. Thank you. Captain Picard was from France. Kirk, Sisko, and Janeway Archer were from America. Yes, but notice that when Steve says that only a few hero characters were from other countries, he lists Picard and Scotty specifically. So he's not just talking about captains. He's talking about main cast members. And so he thinks Picard and Scotty are like the only two people that aren't from America, when even on the original series, you have, Scotty, Chekhov, Uhura, and Spock are all, of course, not from North America. Luke says, I tend to agree there's potential and good stuff, but they could have done so much more. It leaves an unhealthy frustration. Indeed. Remember, free Mama Prey at all bird streams from now on. Indeed, we need to do that. Christopher puts in the anti-trigger, says, got it. All right, good. That's what you do. Wait, you're sneezing and all. Now, it really is just my allergies. That's all it is. By the way, I moved to the South, too, just moving 10 miles from the Tennessee border. It's hardly the place that it's widely thought to be. Yeah, I was shocked. I was truly shocked by how progressive the South is. The other day, during Bird of Prey 5's live broadcast of him playing Risk, he admitted to playing with himself. LOL, he's a dictator. Confirmed also there's a rebellion going on in Kuroga. Actually, Bird, you need to be careful of that. If you were, in fact, playing with, and I don't know if you were, or if Robert says joking, but if you were playing with two accounts simultaneously, they will kick you for that. So if you read in the messages they send out, they actively seek people. If they find multiple players from the same IP matching up in the same game, they will boot you from the game permanently. Live with Matthew says, Andrew, the problem with blocking school choice is making it more federal, is it has brought back it has brought back segregation. Well, that's why you need to. And I understand what you're saying, Live with Matthew, and that's you. But the problem, what we can do, is moving forward, we can actively work against segregation happening, because we know that it happens, and so we can prevent it from happening. We can put in rules in place to make sure it doesn't happen, by making it so that, for example, you put, and Rock Solid puts in $2. Thank you.
I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky.
No super chat needed. If you have Steve on, I'd like to be on to be to the right of you. Because you want to federalize schools, you clearly have a communist streak in you. Like when Bird gets a visit from Russian tea girls, he has a little communist in him.
That's horrible. You got it, Roxanne. But no, and that's the thing. Like I said, I know that that's one of the things that I would do that most of my conservative friends would disagree with. But I certainly am not a communist by any stretch. If anything, you could accuse me of being a socialist for that. But even that, I'm sorry. Is anybody out there saying we should get rid of public schools? Maybe a few people, but those people are nuts. Why would you let the government control schooling? It will do a terrible job and indoctrinate the students. Well, that's the thing. That's why, again, you have to put in safeguards for that. You make sure that, just like with the Constitution, you create rules in place to prevent that schools are not, they're specifically prohibited from teaching one political ideology over another, right? They can teach what the political ideologies are, but they must be factual about it. They can, and as far as what we need is for all schools, aside from the real estate, they all need to be funded equally. They need to have the same curriculum. That's what we're not doing right now. Schools in the inner city are horribly funded compared to schools in the suburbs. And if you want proof, look at Portland Public Schools compared to Lake Oswego. How would you ensure the federal government wouldn't control the information being educated to the students? That's the biggest problem with federalized education. Well, they would control it. You just need to make sure, just like with the Constitution, that you put in safeguards to make sure it is an unbiased system. School choice allows lower-income families to get their kids into better-performing schools. Yeah, I get that, Life with Matthew, but here's the problem. Not everybody, and like, for example, let's say that in a city you have 3 schools that are performing well, 3 schools that are underperforming. When in actuality, it would be more like 3 schools that are performing well and 10 schools that are underperforming. Not all the students from the 10 schools can get into those 3 schools. That's where school choice breaks down. What we need is, number 1, equal funding for all schools outside of the cost of the school property itself, because we know that real estate varies in cost. Number 2, teachers break the union 100%. There is no, and I'm sorry, you just be a hardliner on it. There's no such thing as tenure. You don't perform, you're out. We need you at this school, you move to that school. Teachers need to stop being treated with kid gloves and make them all delicate little flowers that need more money, and we need to be softer on them. Sorry, you work for a damn living. Get over it. Like everybody else, you can work for a damn living. And I'm sorry if that sounds harsh and mean and all that, but it's a fact that right now teachers with tenure can sit back at their desk and literally do nothing all day while their students have to read a book because they can't be fired. That needs to end immediately. And when we need to move good teachers to schools that are falling apart, those teachers cannot say no. Within reason. Obviously, like we can't say, oh, you're a teacher in Tennessee, we're going to move you to Washington. But what you can do is say, you're in South Murfreesboro, we need you in North Murfreesboro, you're moving. I guess you needed to make sure that the chat assistant was fixed. Thanks for telling the truth. Yeah, that was not me. Trey Eximus Prime Production says, I unsubbed to Steve. The sheer effing hubris. Yeah. Luke says, you forgot Sulu. No, I did not. Sulu is, in fact, an American. Sulu was born in San Francisco, as established in Star Trek IV. Sean O'Neill says, the Scottish Conservative previous leader was also a gay woman. She is one of the most popular people the Tories have. Interesting. Bird says, playing with myself equals playing against the computer. Sure, that's what you meant, Bird. We know. Luke says, it was obviously a joke from Rock Solid, yet the sentiment is there. People conflate public services with socialism and sometimes even communism. That's one of the main issues. That is a problem. I'm not gonna lie. But, and that's why I said it is socialism in that, like, like the public education is a social program. It is a form of socialism, but it's not making a socialist government to have a socialist program. I do believe in certain social programs, but I think they should be very few and far in between. I don't believe that, for example, in the welfare system as we currently have it. Chicago and Milwaukee schools are better funded with worse results than those out of state. Well, you got to be careful about how you say that, because when you say better funded, most people are thinking raw dollars, but they're not looking at the actual school budgets. I've looked over the school budgets because I understand there are actually certain costs that go into having a city school that do not apply to a rural school. And so some of those costs are something that needs to be accounted for. And you can't just tax and tax and tax people in the cities. I was going to call you plain crazy until you talked about breaking the union. I do agree that would make a major step towards improving education. Absolutely. And that's the thing. I know that's the funny thing is that I know my plan would work because conservatives hate it for federalizing schools and liberals hate it for breaking the union. Therefore, it would probably work. Unfortunately, as it is now, based on the Fed controls most media, I don't believe that there's any way to control the insert of propaganda into schools. I think it would go south fast. It's already gone south. Go to a damn public school in Portland, Oregon, where parents have no right to view their kids' medical records, and they have a clinic on site so that the kids can get all their various prescriptions and procedures done without parental knowledge. And you tell me all about how it's going to go south. Do you plan to watch Dune? Yes. Do you think it'll be any good? Don't know. Haven't seen a trailer yet. I would also add to your federal school's idea that no teacher can get pregnant within the first 5 years after getting the job. Well, they can get pregnant if they want. I mean, but you know what? That doesn't. But if they do get pregnant and they take maternity leave, they're going to miss out on a pay raise. They're going to lose some of that tenure. Oh well. But tenure would only be indicative of pay raises. It would not mean that you were insulated from being fired. I believe they would insert loopholes into the amendment that would take us one step towards controlled education. Not sure what you mean by controlled education. All education is controlled education. Isn't tenure recognition of teachers as public servants, though? Are your public servants unable to be fired too? Then your issue is in the form taken by then your issue is with the form taken by the public service overall. Yes, in the education system in the United States of America, Luke, and you may not be aware of this, but this is absolute fact. And it's not. Let me stress this. One of the problems with the education system is inconsistent. There are 50 states in the United States. There are 50 separate educational systems. Each one can, in fact, do it their own way. However, this particular line of thinking is across the board true in every state that I know of. If there's an exception, I'm unaware of it, which is once a teacher achieves a certain status of tenure, now that status could be after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It varies from state to state. But once they achieve that tenure, the only way they can actually be fired from their job is if they commit a crime in the classroom. And I'm not exaggerating. They could literally put their feet up on their desk, and I've seen it happen. They could literally put their feet up on their desk, be browsing on their smartphone for their entire shift all day, and just make the kids study out of a book and take a test. And there's nothing that can be done about that. And so that needs to be broken. Roxanne says, I'm against almost all social programs. Social programs aren't what I've had to sink thousands into Social Security and I'll never see a penny. Well, Social Security should be revamped so that what you put in, you get out. If you're going to have a mandatory retirement program like Social Security, it needs to be individualized accounts, not a general fund that's nothing but IOUs. DS9 is the most diverse cast of alien heroes of any Trek series. Jadzia, Kira, Nog, Rom, Odo, Martok, and even to a point Quark and Garrick, and it's probably the best Trek series. Well, here's the thing. I like DS9 a lot. I still think TOS is my favorite, but I put DS9 in a strong second. Captain Trek says, since I hate you, when are you doing that Barbie movie review again? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I think online streaming could make a difference in education, whether it's YouTube, Zoom, or some other online platform. Internet streaming could be future convenient education. I disagree with that, Man of Sand, because it lacks the human experience. And that is something that, unfortunately, we're already lacking too much in our modern society. What we're doing right now, qualifies as human contact now, and none of us are in the same room. And as much as I love each and every one of you, I would much rather be sitting in a pub, discussing life in Ireland with Darth Revan, or sitting and eating a French baguette on the Riviera with Luke, or eating cheese or whatever they eat where Darren is, and just hanging out with you guys on a personal level. That's more important. And kids need that social interaction. And when we take that away, granted, I understand with the COVID-19 situation, we're doing some states are doing online education as a stopgap, which is fine. But once the crisis is over, they need to get them back in the classroom. Luke says, I'm aware of this, Michael. The principle of tenure isn't contingent on your country. It's the kind of standard practice in modern nation states. Yeah, and it's horrible. It needs to be completely destroyed. It is absolutely an abomination because it is counterproductive in every sense of the word. It encourages people to not work. All right. So I am going to wrap it up there, guys, because I do need to work in just a little while. But I want to thank you for hanging out with me. I will, because of my doctor's appointment, I won't be able to stream in the morning, but tomorrow night I will be on the Fluffy Bottom stream with Life with Matthew. Check his channel. There is, in fact, it's already scheduled on his channel. I believe he starts at 8 p.m. Central, which is an hour before I get off work. So once I actually get off work, I will be joining with his stream for a little while, hanging out, throwing a couple of back, and just having fun. And then we'll see where we go with the week from there. But thank you all for hanging out. Those who were able to support, thank you so much. It means the world to me. I'm glad that so far you guys like the Steve Shives video, and we'll probably do more like that in the near future. So peace out, or whatever you kids say today.
Making your way with the nerds today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from hating JJ sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to just get laid? Sometimes you wanna go where all the
And of course, Rock Solid wants to be a dick and throws $1 into it because that's just Rock Solid being Rock Solid. But I know what you want, Rock Solid. Well, I think I know. Do you want to see your favorite transvestite? Is that what you're after, my friend? Of course, now I got to wait for him to type something. And so he's probably sitting there going, hee, I'm going to wait a while. But the longer you wait, the less likely you are to get something, because I can't wait forever. Luke says, it should also be noted that the teachers who haven't their tenure tend to be thrown as cannon fodder. The worst schools here. This is the same in U.S. The whole system needs. Yes, in fact, no super chat needed. All right, Roxanne, I appreciate it. That is a problem because, yeah, new teachers, and generally the new teachers are the ones that are fresh and want to help the kids and want to make a difference, and they get crap. You know, when people complain about teachers' wages, what they're doing, and this is the dirty little secret, is they're talking about new teachers, right? So new teachers start out at a pathetically low salary for what they do. However, then they, for teachers with tenure, they're making bank. Not only they're making bank, but they get 3 months off a year, and vacation time, and sabbatical time, and sick time. Oh, but those poor guys are they're just worked to the bone, you know. And Yosef says, but you do not want to hang out with me because I do not speak perfect English. That is racist. I didn't say that. When did I say that? Roxanne says, as much as I love each and one of you, Anti-Tracker Lies 2020, you call me a dick constantly, which directly contradicts this statement. Well, okay, you're right. I apologize, Rock Solid. As much as I love each and every one of you, except for Rock Solid, I can't stay because I gotta work.
Trekkies know your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be in a galaxy where
Although I will say this, Rock Solid, is that while I do call you a dick on a regular basis, I also call Trump a dick on a regular basis, so you could take that as a compliment, I guess?
Star Trek isn't lame. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Turds of a feather flock together, that's what we believe. We know a place that's got you covered, a place to get relief. Wouldn't you like to say me poo? Sometimes you wanna go where Turnistannies know your name, and old Kurogans are to blame. You wanna be where you can see Kuroga go up in flames. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
You son of a bitch, Anti-Tracker!